Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, mother. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Before we start, a quick shout out to Dr. Aaron Mass down in Bloomington, who had to deal with G Mama this morning with me. This is like the fourth time that I've had to get up at 4:30 in the morning and drive down to Owensburg and get my mom and take her to Bloomington. And Dr. Aaron Mast, he is awesome down at IU Health. And a shout out to Aaron. I was down in Bloomington a little bit earlier today trying to figure out what in the hell is going on with my 80-year-old mother. And we figured it out. I got the 4:30 a.m. wake-up call. Hey, are you on the way? Oh, wait a minute. I just got up. Can I go to the bathroom first? Nah, but seriously, if anybody out there knows, and we used to do a weekly segment during the football season with Brad Howell, who has Milestone, a couple of different locations now, but obviously the epicenter is down in Greenwood with Brad with a rehab plate. Just great people. But we used to do the whole rehab show and kind of learn things about the body and injuries and what to expect. You guys remember that? Aaron Mass down in Bloomington is awesome. And I got to know Aaron Mass from John Surdam, who is equally awesome down in Bloomington. I want to thank those guys because if anybody out there knows, I am an only child, and I have an 80-year-old mother that is a bit compromised right now with some things that we're trying to figure out, but lives on 40 acres in Greene County, and it is it's a delicate balance. And Dr. Mast is awesome. And I want to thank everybody down at IU Health in Bloomington for the help over the last 2 or 3 weeks on that. But she's a pip, let me tell you that. I wish I could take a lot of what she has to say because she's got her opinions too. She's got her opinions on the Pacers and the Fever. And I think I've said this before. She loves Obi, so we always have to spend like 20 minutes on Obi, and we talk about Obi and then go into other things. But a shout out to them for helping her and me in the process out too. And if anybody else knows about dealing with this right now, it can be difficult. But they make it, thankfully, much easier. So shout out to Aaron Mass down in Bloomington and IU Health for helping me out in the capacity and being so kind to my 80-year-old mom, or as you guys know her, G-Mama, in the past couple of weeks, dealing with stuff. And hopefully now we can get on the other side of it. All right, NBA Finals Game 1. I'm not openly rooting for the Knicks, and I picked them in 6. And I've said this before, like pretty much not a lot of people around here. I like Jalen Brunson a great deal. I like Jalen Brunson. You know, the description of dog, which is not D-O-G, but D-A-W-G, he is exactly that. He is exactly that. He's a guy that you can count on in moments. He can play through things. He can be injured, turn an ankle, have to go to the locker room, come back, slap on a brace, shoot the ball 30 times, and you're looking at it. I mean, as far as the average is concerned, you go, okay, you got 30 points on what, 30-plus shots, whatever. But he was so big in shot-making ability down the stretch. I'm not that big of a fan of, you know, the whole Chalamet and the Stiller and the Tracy Morgan and the Turturro and, all these stars being there as Knicks fans. And by the way, too, were there more Knicks fans in Game 1 in San Antonio than they were ever Knicks fans here? Does anybody have an accurate gauge? Because honestly, we're kind of living the moment. And I didn't have a great feel, but the feel I had last night watching game number 1 was there were way too many Knicks fans. But I know what we're talking. We're talking about big money, entertainment level actors that are Knicks fans that were there. But it seemed like it was way too damn loud with Knicks fans just in general than it should have been. Anybody else gather that last night? And you could really notice it when Miles McBride did anything because everybody goes, deuce. It seemed like that there was a lot more Knicks fans and the effect of Knicks fans in San Antonio in Game 1 than I can remember here. Now, that can be viewed a couple of different directions. One is it's an NBA Finals game. You're probably viewing that as maybe a once in your particular lifetime, even though you go back to 1999 and you saw it then. But you can view it like that. Maybe that's the reason why. But it seemed like that there were way, way too many Knicks fans in that building for it being the home court of the Spurs. That's how I felt last night. I don't know what the number was. I don't know if anybody took a straw poll on how many were there. The other portion of this, outside of the stretch run by the Knicks, and I know that I have ridden hard on the NBA postseason without the Pacers. And a lot of you suggest, well, that's because, you're a hometown guy and you're blowing, sunshine out the rear end of everybody. Because no, it's what I believe. I didn't think the basketball was that great. I thought that the game itself played out and was interesting and had a little bit of drama. But I view that differently than the brand of basketball. I thought the brand of basketball wasn't great. I thought the shot making wasn't great. I thought the shot making, frankly, at times sucked. And I know that, for example, San Antonio is new to this, and Victor Wembanyama is new to this. But it is a rarity. Think about this for a moment. It's a rarity in general when you see somebody take a corner jump shot and hit the side of the backboard. Wembanyama did that in the fourth quarter last night. Miles McBride did that in the fourth quarter, and what normally would have been, and that's what really tells you that this is probably going to be the next season to win it all. When you bank in a three from the left corner, you're living right. Because there was no chance that that was a good shot. That was a crap water shot that had a blessing. And believe me, I'd like to be blessed. We'd all like to be blessed in shooting a jump shot that had no absolute chance of doing anything and then is pure. But when you look at that last night, I just thought the offense was discombobulated, and I didn't think it was all about the lockdown defense on either end. I'll give credit where credit is due. 2 of 12 in straight-up one-on-one playing Victor Wembanyama, as Karl Anthony Towns was. That was impressive. I thought it was going to be more OG Anunoby, but Karl Anthony Towns really locked him down. And you can make an argument whether or not it was Karl Anthony Towns and his defensive presence or if it was Wembanyama, for the first time being in this particular situation. I just thought the offense, the fluidity of the game itself, offensively and defensively, was lacking. And when you ask me, why do you feel so good about the Pacers bouncing back? That is why. Now, we'll see with Ivica Zubac and, again, how differently they play offensively. But a lot of teams struggle with what the Pacers do. And I hope that level of play and and that up and down tempo, if you will, I hope that is not compromised because of Zubats that much. I know that it's going to be adjusted. I just always think that whether you're talking about the starters or McConnell coming off the bench, and again, we're talking about a 2-year window right here. Whether you're talking about either one, I just think that the style of play is such a significant difference maker for the Pacers. I don't think either one of these teams can play that way. Now, maybe you're also going to argue, well, maybe the Pacers can't play in the fashion in which they do. I think it's much more difficult to adjust to what the Pacers do, and we have seen that for the past couple of years. I shouldn't say this past year, but again, the 2 years prior, we have seen that. I think it's much more difficult to adjust to that than it is to what I witnessed last night. Now, granted, you're going to suggest you're just a naysayer. You think the Eastern Conference sucks. You don't think the Knicks are that good. I think the Knicks are good. Well, they won 12 consecutive in the postseason. You have to be good to do that. But I think the Eastern Conference stinks. And if you're going to do that in a year like the Knicks are doing it, this is it with the Pacers out of the picture. And I'm just trying to give you what I think is an example of how I think and believe the Pacers can play and what I expect from them compared to what we witnessed in game number 1 of the NBA Finals later on tonight. Or I should say last night. I just think one of the major components that is such an advantage for the Pacers is their style of play. And I've always said this. Guys always want to talk about up and down the floor and a fast pace, and it's great, and everybody wants to play that way until you're forced to play that way. Until you're forced to play that way on both ends. And then it becomes problematic because you're not good at doing it. There are a lot of teams out there that aren't good at doing that. And I thought last night was a great example. Those two teams, there is zero way. OKC could if they were at full strength, and they certainly would struggle as they did in Game 7 without Jalen Williams. Both of those teams last night would struggle in an up-tempo performance type of game. It's weird watching all this half-court basketball. 105-95, does that not seem like it? And maybe we're just used to something that we're not going to see again. I just thought last night, the Pacers team that we view, that we believe in, that we expect, I thought the Pacers team that we expect would put up about 25 on either one of those teams last night. Now, again, the whole Zubats scenario is going to be different. And we talked to Rick. Remember Rick Carlisle called in regarding that. And one of the first questions I had was, because I am such a believer in this tempo. And I just think it's a tempo that not a lot of teams can play with and can sustain at all. I think it's such an advantage for the Pacers. And when I asked Rick Carlisle about, well, can Zubats play at this tempo? And, you know, we talked about how it probably is going to be a little bit slower, but he'll get used to it. Getting used to it is what I really want to see about all this. You know, what exactly are we getting used to? That is a big deal. And that's what I gathered in terms of relation to the Pacers last night. That I still trust if they're able to play their brand of healthy basketball. I wasn't overly impressed about what we saw last night. I'm not taking away from Jalen Brunson and late-game shot making and Josh Hart and hustle and rebounds and giving them extra possessions. That was really, when you think about it, the Knicks won that game last night because of extras that they got on the offensive glass. They got extra opportunities, and they cashed in. And you could firmly tell last night that the Spurs, while you have a go-to, the go-to wasn't shooting three. The go-to was 7'6" and shooting threes. They just kind of looked discombobulated. And I kind of wonder about the coach, too. The coach was a little bit discombobulated. I'm not the biggest believer in Mike Brown as a high-level head coach, but I am a believer in Mike Brown as a head coach in letting guys do what they do. And I felt last night he let his guys do what they do. It seemed like on the other side that they were searching for answers. And that's a bad time at home in game number 1 when you're down late. And they had the opportunity, too. They were up, 8 or 9? Midway through the fourth quarter, they had an opportunity, I thought, to create a little bit of distance, and they just had some really foul possessions. Whereas Mike Brown kind of leans on his guys and his belief to get it done, and they did. Game 1 goes to the Knicks. I said the Knicks in 6. It does make me sick, but the Knicks in 6, that's what I went with. 105-95. That was the final in game number 1 last night. And if you're curious about my thoughts on how comparable that is to the Pacers, I am a firm believer in their style of play being one of the more significant differences in why that they're good. And hopefully Ivica Zubac can adapt even more than what we think or hope that he can. I just think that's important. Not a lot of teams can do that. You see any other Eastern Conference teams that can do it? You watch Detroit's act, Philly, Boston. Don't think so. We can hit that at 239-1070 if you so desire. All right, the Fever later on tonight have an opportunity. So game number 9 of the season. Very early, 4-4. But you have an opportunity to shut everybody up, including myself for the time being, to get everybody talking good about you. You have that opportunity tonight, or you have the opportunity, if you don't play well at home against Atlanta, to sink even further and to be more questioned and to be in a spotlight, simply put, that you do not want to be a part of. It's like when I mentioned a couple of days ago with just the discombobulated, ridiculous way that they handled Scott. And again, Scott's never been on the show, and I'm not here like shaking my fist for Scott Agnes, but the way that the Fever and the Pacers and all that, well, the way that that was handled was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You do not handle it that way. And it put even more of a negative glow on a team where you go back to Monday, and I'm talking about how, hey, let's stay focused on the basketball. The basketball is the problem. All this other stuff is for somebody else that wants the clicks, somebody else that wants the views. We're going to keep it on basketball, but they, in what they decided to do, kept it going. They festered the wound in non-basketball. So herein lies, later on tonight, the opportunity to prove for the moment that, hey, everything is okay. To back up what you said in pressers earlier this week, all is well. All is well between coach and star player. And this is an early season bump in the road. This is your opportunity to prove. I know what you're saying. You're saying you just want us to go down the path to must win. No, I don't. But I can tell you this, early in a season, tonight is an incredibly important opportunity for the Fever to shake off some of the naysayers, to shake off some of the criticism, to put a little bit of that behind you. And I'm not even talking about the whole momentum of it or anything like that. I'm just talking about to silence a lot of critics for the time being. Or, again, as I mentioned earlier, let it fester. John Nolan's going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, the voice of the Fever. He was on with us tail end and anything goes last night. John Nolan coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. The Colts and OTAs, the rest of the NFL. Hey, how is the rest, for example, of the NFL doing? Like, you saw some major moves. And the Colts clearly are believing in themselves. Well, because they have to, for one. The rest of the NFL right now, compared to the Colts and OTAs, Mike Chappell, he's going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Post Malone and Jelly Roll tickets we shall give away. But on the other side, from Golden Black Illustrated, Boilermaker fans reached out to me yesterday and said, hey, I'm glad that there's going to be a change at athletic director. The legacy of one Mike Babinski, and believe me, Boilermaker fans, you've had a lot of success with Babinski there in basketball. That doesn't, and I agree with you, tell the entire story. Tom Dienhart will help us with that coming up on the other side. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you for joining us on what is a glorious day in Central Indiana. It truly is. For a dude that got up at 4:30 a.m. Got the wake-up call. Hey, are you on your way? That's what I got, James. Hey, are you on your way? Where are you on the road? I always get the where are you. I always say south of Martinsville. I'm south of Martinsville.
That's just your go-to answer?
Even if I'm not south of Martinsville, I'm just south of Martinsville.
Does she ever,
where are you?
Does she ever put together that it takes you a lot longer to get there from south of Martinsville than it ever would?
Well, then I drive like 90 miles an hour to get down there. But and you can on the Redneck Audubon, which is great. And also a shout out, and they're not a sponsor, and it's complete bullcrap. They're not. But Kroger, I don't think, is a sponsor of this show. And I know like Eric Halverson that used to do news for Wish TV Channel 8 in this market. Eric Halverson, if you're out there listening, why in the hell do you not motivate your folks to be a sponsor of this show and this station? My mom is in love with the Kroger location, James, off of Kinzer Pike and 46. And it may be the smallest Kroger of all time. It used to, in fact, be a Marsh.
Really?
It's right up there by, if you're going to Cascade, the golf course, or you're going to, I don't know if they still play softball at Upper and Lower Cascade or whatever. But she loves the Kinzer Pike location of Kroger.
Has she just always gone to that one, even
no,
when it
she
was a
never
Marsh?
has. I don't
Really?
know why. She thinks it's great, and I don't know why. And it's completely out of the way for me to go, all right, let's go there. We're going to Kinzer Pike.
Maybe it's just because it is so small.
Well, I started on the south side. I was all the way down by the Clear Creek Kroger, and I go, we can go to that one. It's literally 3 minutes away, but instead we go like 30 minutes away to the one on Kinzer Pike.
Well, she just wants to take a long ride with her son.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to Eric Halverson saying, hey, dude, come on now. What are you doing? Kroger, why are you guys not a part of this right now?
Well, if we're going to get Kroger
nobody knows Kroger more than I do.
If we're going to get Kroger on, we need to get Goodwill as well.
But Goodwill has at least brought us out to do a live show.
That's fair. That's very fair.
And the other thing is, I'm going to take credit for the craze of cottage cheese and of Goodwill. Because Goodwill this time last year is not as picked over as Goodwill is right now. And I'm going to raise my hand and tell you that it's all because of me. Goodwill, cottage cheese, see Eric Halverson. Kroger should be next. I don't know if you're the decision maker there, if somebody else is, but let's expedite this process right there, especially with a shout out for the Kinzer Pike location down in Bloomington. All right, stream the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you all for joining us. A glorious Thursday. Post Malone, Jelly Roll tickets to give away. Tom Dienhart on the legacy of an AD that not a lot of fans are sad that is retiring on December the 31st. That is Mike Babinski. It is Tom Dienhart joining us on the other side. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm going to tell you what, if Eric Holverson does not respond to the Kroger outburst that I just had, I'm going to call Mark Patrick on him. Some 80s coming up this weekend on the JMV Takeover. That is Killing Joke and the classic regarding the greatest decade of all time, the 80s. James over there, I'm John right here. Thank you for joining us. JMV, really good points on the pace of play. I'm still dumbfounded on Mortgage the Future on a center that really doesn't fit with the style of play that this team has already shown it could win with. That is, I'll be honest with you, that is my most significant question about this. I'm not suggesting at all that Ivica Zubac is not good. He is a good player. But to me, style of play was one of the most significant reasons as to why the Pacers were so good, especially in the postseason last year. I'm right there with you on that. JMV, when the Kroger on Kinzer Pike was a Marsh, we used to see Coach Knight and his staff eating the salad bar all the time. That was very true right there. The Marsh, and then across. Remember when that Holiday Inn, and then it was a Ramada Inn back in the day? I have a great story regarding Brent Musburger and the late Jim Valvano. The night before, they were calling an IU basketball game, and the place was called the Nightlife Nightclub inside the Ramada Inn. It is now, I believe, a Holiday Inn. Back then, it was a Ramada. Nightlife. But me and my GC buddies and one smoking hot GC buddy girl ran into Brent Musburger and the late Jim Valvano. And Musburger was all over my friend, James. Brent was all over my friend. Brent was on a mission to get some. True story. He didn't, but he was on a mission.
Is this yet another example of you being the middleman? I
was shocked because Brent was so drunk the night before. It was the night before an IU game on a Sunday. Oh. He was magnificently in the bag. And then the next day, he was top-notch calling the game.
Really?
Yeah, that was back when ABC did it. Brent Musburger was on ABC, and the late Jim Valvano was the color analyst.
I'm jealous of people that can do that, that can go that hard one night.
Well, you're looking at him right here, baby.
Oh, I know, and I'm jealous.
You're looking at him. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Our friend from Golden Black Illustrated, Tom Dienhart from West Lafayette, Indiana, joins us. Hello, Tommy D.
Hello, beautiful day here in bucolic West Lafayette, Johnny. Yeah, Brent Musburger to me, man, just an all-time great. You look at the versatility of the NBA. Remember the NBA on CBS?
Yeah.
Of course, yes. The NFL, we all know about his work there, college basketball, on and on it goes. Just I get a kick whenever I have him on TV. He gets to tell old stories and stuff.
He is legendary. Do you recollect any times when he and you remember the combination on ABC when they were doing Big Ten games back in the early 90s, he and Jim Valvano? Do you remember a time when they were staked out at Mackey Arena for a game?
I do not. I wasn't in town in the 90s and all that was going on. But, yeah, you know, Brent, like I said, a classic guy. We like to have a good time, shall we say.
He was hitting a girl named Erin who's married to one of my best friends growing up and married to one of my best friends growing up. I was all over her. To no avail. He failed, but he was really good the next day in play-by-play. And I was always thinking, because he had the older guy drunken lean, and I know it well. He was like leaning. He was the leaning tower of Musburger, and it was impressive. It was impressive that he was still upright. Yeah.
You know, he was sitting poolside with Joe Namath.
Yeah.
And Namath made that famous quote back before the Super Bowl III, incredible. And I just look back at his career. He started in the newspapers, obviously, up in Chicago, went to Northwestern. Just an iconic guy who I think times, overlooked here.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, how will the legacy of Mike Babinski as athletic director go at Purdue?
I think by and large, John, probably positively. You can always find goods and bads in anybody's resume, right, or their legacy. You think football-wise, he inherited a mess with Daryl Hazel. He fired Daryl Hazel. Then he hires Jeff Brom, and he couldn't afford to miss on that hire, and he did. And, of course, Brom did a good job here. One of the probably top 5 coaches in program history. You know, the improvements to Osage Stadium, the improvements to Mackey Arena, keeping basketball humming at a higher level, building the golf courses over here. So a lot of great things there. But football, as you know, is the main money driver. Here we are 10 years later, and football seems to be in the same place it was when he arrived. So it's going to be interesting to see what Purdue does. I think by and large, people will look back on Lebinsky's tenure here kindly.
I gathered yesterday that if not for Matt Painter and a high level of winning, that it would have been a mess. Is that true? Did Matt Painter not hold up? And this is not a Lebinsky hire.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but did the success of the basketball program kind of hold this thing? I mean, you mentioned too. In all fairness, when you start going to, well, he built this and he built that and he got money to build this, that's when you're going, the success was not what we thought it was going to be. Is that fair?
You're right. I think you're fair to say that. Basketball's held it together up here. We all understand that. And he did nothing to screw it up, right? And gave Matt what he needed. And the basketball program has gotten progressively even better, I think, the last 10 years, too. So you're right. But, and I will say this, too. I think it probably was time for a change, honestly, John.
Yeah.
I think Purdue needs a fresh vision, a fresh voice. They need fresh leadership here. We've all been watching the news about what's going on in college sports. It's just a mess right now, trying to untangle things and figure out where it's going, especially football here. And I think you need somebody with some vision in that AD job now, right? A sharp individual, and particularly when it comes to dealing with this NIL game. That's obviously, the key here is being able to pay these players. And I still don't get the impression Purdue's able to really compete with a lot of the top programs. And they seem to meet the basic criteria, right, the revenue share, but I still wonder how good their NIL game is in addition to the revenue share. So they need someone, like I said, I think a younger voice, a visionary, a guy who can think outside the box and make some fresh ideas to the athletic department.
Well, Tom Dienhart of Gold to Black Illustrated with the Boilermakers going to watch Mike Lebinsky ride off into the sunset coming up December the 31st. Any names, any ideas on who can do exactly what you just described for the future of athletics in West Lafayette?
A lot of people are already trying to connect dots. The names being thrown out now are obvious ones. I'm not sure if any of them being mentioned by those who cover the program really have a legit shot. I think internally most people look at Ken Halpin, the number 2 guy over there along Northwestern Avenue, a sharp guy, but is he really the guy to lead the athletic program? I don't know. Mike Berghoff was the former chair of the Board of Trustees, a former football player in the 80s, a real sharp guy. He retired from the board, spending more time with his family. He want to come back and be an AD. He's in about his mid-60s. I'm not sure about that. Tim House is a guy who left from Michigan State, the number 2 guy up in East Lansing. He was a big fundraiser for the John Purdue Club. So sort of names of that ilk, I think you're seeing a lot of people mention. Of course, fans on the message boards, John, they all want Drew Brees. They're playing that game.
So, I mean, is that the pipe dream of everybody's thought? Because I thought that as well. Is that the pipe dream?
I think so. If you're Drew Brees, why would you come and take an AD job? I don't know if he wants to go that way or not. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, but I just don't know if there's anybody that makes a lot of sense. That it seems obvious at this point. Mike Lebinsky was a surprise hire going back to August of 2016 when he was introduced. So I wouldn't be shocked if maybe a lot of stones are turned over here. This is a key hire for an athletic department that needs help with the football program. John, 3-21 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
18 Big Ten losses in a row.
Yeah.
And
then IU winning a national champ, your chief rival winning a national title in 2 years under a head coach. That will put a little bit of hurry your ass up in a program.
It will, and that's going to be key. Babinski said within this last year they cannot afford to fire another coach after 2 years. And Ryan Walters was shown the door after 2 years. This is going to be Barry Odom's second year. Again, I'd be shocked if they make a move if this thing goes off the rails again in 2026. But, man, what if people stop showing up to Ross-Age Stadium? Can Purdue really go another season with not winning the Big Ten game? Another 2-10 season, another 1-11 season? I don't know. They don't like writing buyout checks. So Odom's going to get, I think, a long leash to make this thing work because I don't think Purdue can really afford to pay off another coach leave after just 2 years.
Do you believe in Odom?
I do. I guess I still have a part of me has a prove-it factor to it, though, I'll be honest with you. I still was surprised when they hired him. Ryan Walters came from the defensive side of the ball, so I thought the next hire at Purdue, John Napster's got to be an offensive guy. At Purdue, you never win with defense, ever. It's a quarterback. You have to embrace that identity. You have to throw the football. You have to score points to win games. You need an offensive coach here in West Lafayette. So I really thought they would have pivoted this last time to an offensive coach, a guy like a Jeff Blum when he came from Western Kentucky, a guy, again, an innovator on offense who can develop quarterbacks and offenses. So, Odom did a great job at UNLV for a couple of years and was a 500 coach at Mizzou. He brings a lot of great things to the table this program needed, the discipline, the toughness, the accountability. We'll see X's and O's wise where this thing goes in this also critical second year of his tenure.
Hey, Tommy D, had Jeff Brom stayed, would things be different, you think, right now?
Maybe,
and were there I guess financial guidelines that could have been set to make it more difficult to Brom to go home than as easily as he did?
I think after 6 years, it was time for him to go, John. I really do. It just kind of got to be sort of a tense situation, it seemed like. And I think he'd done all he could really do in West Lafayette. He'd just taken Purdue to the Big Ten championship game. We all knew he was headed to Louisville. It wasn't if, it was when. And that was the jumping off point. So I think that tenure ended when it needed to after 6 years. And he did a lot of great things. And, and Purdue zigged when everybody thought it was going to zag and hired Ryan Walters. I guess it took a risk it really didn't need to take. And it blew up in their face. And they're still trying to clean up the mess right now. So the fans have been great the last 2 years, John, coming up here to watch a 2-10 team last year and a 1-11 team the year before, where they keep showing up, though. And that's going to be the real tell, I think, once the season kicks off against your alma mater on Friday night and September 4th.
So Tom Dienhart of Golden Black Illustrated, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Now, I know you're a big heavy metal guy. Are you done going to Motley Crue shows, or would you go again at Ruoff later on this summer?
I probably would go, but I guess there's always a part of me that wants to remember these guys in their prime.
Yeah.
I see videos of Vince and Neil now, and it's just kind of embarrassing. And there's talk about how they pipe in their music. They don't even play some of it. So I guess for me, I don't have a big appetite for watching 60-year-old guys, play their songs from the 80s. I guess I still get, I want to remember them in their glory. And but I get it, man. I guess if I had free tickets and a ride there, I would go. But like I said, I have a hard time seeing these guys and what they look like at this stage in their career. Have you seen those videos of David Lee Roth?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to remember, John? You want to remember that or 1984 David Lee Roth?
Yeah, I think about if he's not out there with a couple of Van Halens and Michael Anthony, or maybe even three Van Halens in the case of the latter years of Van Halen when he was a part of it. I just think that's what you're going to get. I guess it's something that you either understand or you don't. I don't really make fun of the older artists going out and doing what they're doing with the last gasp, because it is still touching to me from the greater times. I still kind of get it a little bit.
I do too. I don't want to mock or make fun of them either. I would do it too, I guess, for those guys. A chance to still make some money and stay relevant too, right? And do what you love. But yeah, I look back fondly. We talked about it often. Driving down I-65.
Yep.
And God, the litany of concerts in the 80s for about a 6 or 7 year period. I did get to go to that 1984 tour in Market Square. I mean, we stayed then at the Holodome in Lebanon, Indiana. We thought we were in Paris, France, in that Holodome back then.
Let me tell you what. Yeah, people don't understand holodomes being a vacation destination as they were. That's exactly what they were, Tommy D.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, that was a fun night that we were down there watching those guys rip the roof off of old MS.
Well,
that's a venue that I love.
You think about holodomes too. I mean, they had indoor pool, they had AstroTurf, they had pinball machines and video games where you could go and play them wet just out of the pool, and then you had free HBO and you saw some nudity. I mean, there was nothing better for a teenage kid. Nothing.
That was always the thing. You get those HBO guides. You always look and say, "Look, they have the movies had nudity in them or foul language and stuff." And
yes,
getting that thing in the mail every month. But yeah, I was like I said, good times going there and down there and seeing Iron Maiden and Crocus and Foghat and Dokken and Dio together.
Yes. Saw Ronnie James, man. Ronnie James at a Holodome sounds absolutely spectacular. That's a hell of a weekend right there, pal.
Yeah, Dion, I saw Ozzy twice. I saw Ozzy on Bark at the Moon with Motley Crue, and then I remember I saw him on his next tour in '86 with a band called Metallica that actually opened for him. They were doing the Master of Puppets tour, so that was a lot of fun.
Tommy D, Gold and Black Illustrated. You can follow him regarding where the path is going to go as far as the next athletic director hire at Purdue. Tommy's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Have a fantastic weekend, pal. I appreciate you.
You too, John. I appreciate you, buddy. Take care.
Even better summer. If you ever spent time in celebrating a vacation in a Holodome, let me see a show of hands because it was glorious. Those are memories, but they're glorious memories indeed. John Nolan, voice of the Fever, top of the hour, Fever and the Dream, coming up later on tonight. And Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. He joins us after 5. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Hey, John here for Premier Weight Loss. You want to lose the weight? You want to get started on your very own weight loss journey right now? 317-643-4444. That's Premier Weight Loss on the north side of Indy and in Fishers at 317-567-9100. 9100 is the number. GLP-1 weight loss injections. Right, easy, right? So you think about that, but also there's going to be work to be done. Work from you adjusting your diet, adjusting your workout schedule. And if you do that alongside of these weight loss injections, you will see the results. As I have, you will too. Thomas and Lauren and Samantha keep track and help you reach your goals. Every single month, you get a check over to see where you are, to see where you want to go. The goals are going to be reached. You're going to feel better. You're going to be more healthy. All that you're looking for, again, on your weight loss path with Premier Weight Loss. The 2 Indy area locations at pwlindy.com. The cosmetic treatments you can get too, electronic toning, Botox, and skin tightening, all right there under one roof at Premier Weight Loss. That's pwlindy.com. Tell them I sent you today.
The Ride with JMV.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tom Dienhart, podcast 107.5thefan.com, voice of the Fever. John Nolan, top of the hour. You guys doing okay on this Thursday? You better be. You need an infusion of Johnny. You got it. Mike Chappell, 5 o'clock hour. Uncle Brent famously tried to get nice with A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, now spouse, Catherine Webb, during the 2012 BCS championship game after seeing her in the stands. He was consistent across all sports broadcasts and an absolute legend. There is no more true story than that, my brother. Brent Blanking Musburger. That is so true. So true. JMV, as a Purdue fan, very glad to see Babinski retiring, long overdue. The two most successful programs at Purdue on a yearly basis, volleyball and men's basketball. Babinski didn't hire either of those coaches and was seemingly caught with his pants down when NIL took off and left Purdue in the dust. Babinski saw the writing on the wall. Purdue president just resigned and didn't follow athletics much at all. Babinski knew his days were numbered, and my guess is that is why he was retiring right now. A lot of Boilermaker fans feel the same way that Brian and Lafayette feels about that too. JMV, I also thought that there were way too many Knicks fans for game number 1 in San Antonio last night. It felt like it was far past those that have deep pockets in entertainment. I agree. You think right now that they're searching around San Antonio to find out who gave up their tickets? By the way, the fan that ran on to the court last night in the fourth quarter and took that selfie with Victor Wembanyama, arrested and a lifetime ban. I think there also needs like an ass whipping there too. It just can't be that, right? Arrested, lifetime. Is that enough? Don't you need your ass whipped? There's no heroic measures here. You need an ass beaten. Little nerd runs onto the court.
Hey, I'm going to get my selfie with you. Hey, Victor, hey. Oh, my God. I'm going to get arrested.
Ass whipping. The world would be much better if early on when jackassery occurred, that was the punishment. That was the measure. Quick one, we'll come back. John Nolan's the voice of the Fever. Fever in Atlanta later on tonight. Not a must-win situation, but it would be damn nice if the Fever did to shake loose a lot of this criticism. We'll do that with John Nolan. On the other side, Mike Chappell after 5. Post Malone tickets, Jelly Roll tickets. Do not go anywhere on this glorious Thursday in Central Indiana. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Let me tell you a little bit of something about the Buick Enclave. It is glorious. I rolled down to GC, and here's how you know that it's spectacular. It is G-Mama approved. Loves the Buick Enclave. Brand new, by the way, in different models. You can find them with my friend Eric Wilson and Rob and the gang at Indiana's Best. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. Of course, you've got different models. The Encore is right there as well, but I'm talking about the Enclave. I'm talking about you and the summertime and the road trip and the vacation, you and the entire family. It is perfect for that. And different styles to suit, to cover exactly what you're looking for. You've got the inventory, you have incentives to buy, which are big old coupons to save you money on your car buying experience, and
the service after the sale to even further maintain the life expectancy of your purchase. That's what you're going to get at Indiana's Best, my friend Eric Wilson. Andy Moore Buick GMC. Ask about the Buick Enclave today. Tell him I sent you. 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So the incredibly intelligent and talented Greg, friend of the show. Good re-entry right here. Night Fever from James. The Knicks fans are popping up because 2/3 of the NBA tickets are corporate owned. These corporations have employees and clients and everything else from New York. You got to fight the power, everybody. Public Enemy once famously, yeah, and not for that reason, by the way. Fight the power. It was loud and lousy with Knicks fans in San Antonio's building last night. That would have to suck. It was beyond Totoro and Stiller and Chalamet and Fat Joe and all these other clowns. The Knicks were good in a close. But I'm sorry. I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, I wasn't impressed with the level of play on either side. I wasn't. The Knicks and Jalen Brunson, which we know they can close a game, and Brunson did not have a great evening, but he battled, had 30, and then closed the game. That's what he does. I like him. Josh Hart was all over the place. I like him. Karl Anthony Towns probably guarded Wembanyama in the postseason better than anybody. I think 2 of 12 when he was man-on-man with Wembanyama. That's impressive. San Antonio looked like that they were not ready for that level in that game 1 at home. And both styles of play, I thought oftentimes it was like a shot missing carnival. And it wasn't because the defense was great. Fair? Did you guys see great defense? I just saw a lot of half-ass missing shots. Maybe that's just me. Mike Chappell after 5. Post Malone Jelly Roll tickets coming at you as well. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he joins us now. The voice of the Fever got you covered coming up later on tonight. Here, you'll have to listen. Otherwise, it's like a prime video extravaganza if you're watching it, but you're going to listen to it. Dream and the Fever, Fever 4-4, the Dream 6-2, 7 o'clock, Gamebridge Fieldhouse, and the voice of the Fever, John Nolan, joins us now. Hello, John. How are you?
Hey, John. I'm good. How are you?
Early season important game. That is how I have constructed my theory on this later on tonight. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, certainly. Game 9 out of 44, so nothing should really be, considered out of context here. It's still a pretty long season to go after this. But, yeah, coming off of the loss at Portland and before that, a close loss at Golden State. But I think the main thing coming out of the Portland loss was that we didn't see the typical passion from this group that last year became a hallmark for them with how resilient they were no matter who was in the lineup, dealing with all the injuries and stuff. They showed a lot of grit last year, and then we didn't see that for the first time this season, frankly, in that loss against the expansion team, the Portland Fire, on Saturday night when they went down as many as 20-plus points. This is a challenging game. Atlanta has the second best record in the league right now. They're 6-2. They've got several all-star players. So, for those reasons, as you pointed out, this is a good early season test.
John Nolan, the voice of the Fevers, got you covered coming up later on tonight. 6:30 is when the coverage begins. I believe Tidrow's got us later on tonight here on the Fan. I'm
the
curious.
Great Mick.
Yes. I don't even know his first name. He just goes by Tidrow to me. Is that okay?
You're the boss around here. So
I'm damn straight I'm the boss around here. You know, it's funny. When you brought up a great point. The grind or the grit, if you will, of a team that battles through it. And the Fever haven't shown that so far. And I'm not suggesting this is this team and their players in a nutshell, but sometimes when you're highly touted, there becomes a little bit of entitlement. And hopefully this 4-4 start has shaken loose a little bit of that. Well, we're supposed to be really good. Why aren't we? And then they can find what you just described, that grit and grind that was so familiar when they were missing so many players in that playoff run a year ago.
Yeah, and I mean, in defense of the squad, I think a lot of people thought that they were probably, they were, according to the odds, definitely a favorite there in that matchup at Portland. And, as basically talking with head coach Stephanie White and players over the course of the last few days, and for anyone who didn't hear about this, they had a long team meeting before practice on Monday. Sounds like upwards of an hour or so. So I think, viewing this as a fan, I think you got to appreciate that, the team is taking it seriously. They realize that they fell short of the standard that all of us expect out of them and that they expect out of themselves. So they're not trying to brush it off. I definitely expect to see a greater level of intensity tonight. But, I think as long as, we see the bounce back, then you can sort of give a pass for that. Because they did show some grit in early season games. The problem probably would be that they don't want to be all about accurate. They also want to play just a high level of basketball. You're talking about missed shots in last night's NBA Finals game. I mean, the Fever they've just not played their best yet. You'd expect them to be one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league with talents that they have, and pretty much across the board, everyone's shooting below expectation from the outside as well.
Well, I will say this. I don't think they need John nearly as much help offensively. I think they have plenty of that with them. It's just defensively. What's been the issue so far on that end of the floor for this team?
Yeah, and again, there's been glimpses of solid defense holding their opponent under 80 points a few times, but then a few times like last time out where they gave up 100 plus. So according to Sophie Cunningham, she feels like as they're trying to bring along some new pieces, that their communication has left something to be desired on the defensive end. And, that's not kind of the most exciting part of the game for us to talk about and analyze, but it's obviously critical when you're going against high-level talents on the other side too. So, defensive communication's been lacking. And, sometimes it's even maybe the missed shots, though. When you miss threes, that's going to lead to long rebounds. That's going to lead to teams getting out in transition. And, that has been an issue at times. The transition defense of just simply kind of not getting back probably with the level of urgency that's always demanded.
It's funny, too. It's been a week of criticism. There's no doubt about that. And, the whole viral video.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I missed it. I don't.
You missed it? Well, yeah. I've been pretty critical, and so have others. And, obviously the Fever have answered that, and their star player, their head coach, put all that in a unified version earlier this week behind them. Tonight is very important in terms of shaking loose a lot of that, because you really can. It can be not a distant memory, but you can shake loose a lot of that criticism tonight, saying if you back up a win with a good team in what you said earlier this week, that goes a long way to, again, kind of ridding yourself a lot of this criticism, like my dumb ass, and then moving forward to playing more of a consistent level of basketball, which has been expected, John.
Yeah, I think winning definitely can be a cure-all. And so, 4-4 through these first 8 games. And I think criticism is certainly fair. At the same time, I guess, to try to quell any, sky is falling, they're leading the league in scoring. Like we said, though, they need to be more consistent defensively and can still be even better offensively if they shoot it better. They have some of the best rebounding numbers in the league. They actually are on track to set a franchise record for assists. So, again, it's a 44-game season, only 8 games in so far. And, tonight should be fun. Hopefully with the great weather tonight. I know a lot of people maybe want to be out barbecuing or whatever, but it's also, don't have to deal with rain or anything, and getting downtown and walk around a little bit, hang out on the plaza before and after the game. So hopefully it's going to be a tremendous crowd here. And that can help spur the team, too.
Yeah, John Nolan's the voice of the Fever. Later on tonight, we got you covered right here. And I'm curious, too. I don't know how much you've thought about this, but it goes both ways. You can win tonight and feel really good and rid yourself of a lot of criticism. But if you maintain some of the most recent level of play, then you've got some problems. I think that is, again, an early season situation that you have plenty of time to find a solution for, but man, you could really bring a lot more on yourself tonight if you play in similar fashion, for example, as you did on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, again, I think, and the first 3 losses of the season, just as a reminder for anyone who missed one of them or so, literally had a shot at the buzzer that would have extended the game in all 3 of those. So it was just last time out where they didn't have that same level of compete that we, again, all have seen and expect out of this group. But yeah, the reality is, like we're talking about, Atlanta, a tough team, and they upset Atlanta in the playoffs last year. It's one thing you can say, they beat Atlanta in the playoffs last year. Well, that was really an upset. That was the 3-6 matchup. Besides all the injuries that the Fever were dealing with, the Dream were one of the best teams in the league last year. Again, they're off to a quick start. This year, they're arguably better than they were last year. A lot of people can criticize Angel Reese, but at the end of the day, she is the top rebounder in the WNBA, and they don't need her to be a scorer, because right now, Alicia Gray, she's scoring 21 a game. So that's actually a tick ahead of both Caitlin and Kelsey Mitchell. They got Ryan Howard, who's leading the league both in threes and in steals, so kind of the ultimate 3-and-D player out of Kentucky. So they're good. And then coming up next, it'll be 2 on the road Saturday at New York. They're arguably, top tier in terms of talent. So not only here in this market, obviously, we're focused on the Fever. Nationally, internationally, the Fever get the most attention and hype. But you're a ball knower, JMV. Like, there are some other really good teams out there, so it's disproportionate in the national and international coverage. Nothing's going to be easy for the Fever if we're being real.
No, well, and I get it too, and that just comes with the territory of supposed to being good. Whether you're talking about individually or collectively here, teams are going to circle you on the schedule and go at you with all that they can. But that's where the difference to me lies between a good team living up to expectations and disappointment. And I think it really does restart, I think, against Atlanta for the Fever later on tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm at the end of the day, I have the ultimate confidence in Caitlin and everyone else in this group led by Coach White. I can tell you, I know Caitlin, as soon as they got on the plane the other night after that tough loss, she had the film from that game out. She was studying to get better. She and everyone else take this seriously. And again, even though I guess to try to change the perspective of it a little bit, like a little bit more encouragingly, she's leading the league in assists. She's third in scoring, and we know she can play even better. So, she specifically has a great history of rising to the occasion, meeting the moment. So I think we should all be. I'll be pretty pumped for what we get to see tonight.
It's John Nolan, the voice of the Fever. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Any other assets on either team tonight that you want to highlight going into tonight's matchup? Again, it is one of those big games for the Fever at 4-4 of the season, but the Dream have been good so far. Anybody else we haven't talked about that could play a significant role in this matchup this evening?
Yeah, that's a good question. One other player for Atlanta to be aware of, their point guard, Jordan Canada, a veteran out of UCLA. She's among the league leaders in assists too. So probably the X factor when looking at Atlanta, they have maybe the best starting five, or their starting five is as good as anyone in the league, but they have really ridden their starters so far, and they have not utilized their bench hardly whatsoever. So it'll be interesting to see if the Fever, who are confident in their depth, maybe have an edge there. Raven Johnson during the road trip, even though it was a couple losses, she had the top scoring game of her career so far at Golden State. So we'll see if maybe playing in front of the home fans, she gets going again. And yeah, I think shooters like Lexi and Sophie, can be a little bit streaky, but they're due coming into tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about that, too. Hey, anything surprised you about the overall, the WNBA and the schedule so far? Very early in the season, but what have been the major surprises, John, for you?
I guess when you look at the standings right now, the Minnesota Lynx are in first place, and that's, I would say, actually almost shocking. Now, you could say, well, hey, they have the best record in the regular season last year, but right now, their star player, Nafisa Collier, has been out with injury. On top of that, they lost three of their other key players from their starting rotation or right off the bench during the offseason with all the moves in free agency. So they're kind of a different team in a lot of ways. And actually, Natasha Howard was one of the veterans on the Fever last year. And she was, I think, by her own admission, would acknowledge a pretty up and down season. Well, right now she's playing back at an all-star level in her mid-30s with Minnesota, and along with Olivia Miles, who had started out her college career at Notre Dame as a rookie, she's instantly become one of the top point guards. So Minnesota, team of the Fever, have not played yet. They're a pretty big surprise, I'd say.
Yeah, it's been really interesting so far because I think that those new teams, as you mentioned, those first-year teams have acclimated themselves rather quickly, I think, to WNBA play.
Yeah, 100%. So last year, Golden State was new, and they became the first expansion team in their first year to make the playoffs. And right now, the Portland Fire, who beat the Fever like we talked about last time out, the Fire are now in playoff position through their first 11 games. And so, I would say the story here is just that there is an abundance of talent in the league. And frankly, the newcomers, I mean, we've seen it here, right? Right away, Aaliyah, all-star as a rookie, Caitlin, all-star as a rookie. The level of talent of these new players is really dynamic, and not to mention some of these teams like Portland and Golden State, actually, they have several players from overseas that have made significant impacts with their team. So, yeah, a lot of talent out there. Fever, very talented, one of the top tier teams in the league, but they've got company too.
So, John, what's Tidrow's first name again?
Mick.
Mick as in Mick Dundee, as in Mick Schumacher, Mick Tidrow, correct?
Exactly, correct.
All right. Tidrow takes...
Maybe call him the Mick.
He takes the stage coming up at 6:30 tonight, correct?
Yeah, so pregame coverage on the Old National Bank Radio Network at 6:30, game at 7. And yeah, not on local TV tonight. If you do have that Prime Video, our guy Grady actually will be on play-by-play.
Grady's doing it tonight. Grady's got you.
Yep. So if you don't subscribe for that, though, free to listen to us.
We got to call Grady really quick, too, and get him on. I haven't talked to Grady in a while. You got Grady's number over there, James? I think I do, actually. Wow, I forgot that Prime Video is a Grady broadcast. Now, obviously, we want people to listen to you right here. But it's cool. Grady's in town.
I normally wouldn't steer anyone elsewhere, but I mean, I know how awesome Grady is, both in terms of his ability on air and then just the guy he is too. Yeah,
he's a good dude, and he, like many others, have played pickup basketball with the guy you're talking to right here, buddy. Let me tell you, Grady has to.
What's the scouting report on him?
He can play. There's no doubt. So he doesn't have much of a jumper. He can get around you a little bit. Yeah, if you got to guard your yard because he'll try to get around you. I don't know if he still plays or not, but that goes back a number of. I think that goes back to the Fat Me too. So it was a different era altogether. So I don't know if he still plays.
He might be in a different era himself now too. Although
I am. I'm still kind of a jackass defensively though. So it's still a little bit of one. Yeah, I got it. Much like the Fever. I need to focus a little bit more on that end because I don't put forth as much results on that end that I should. No question.
Everyone can keep each other honest. We're all in it together.
Listen, I'm going to own up to everything. So absolutely, John. It was great to see you yesterday. Have a great broadcast later on tonight. Tell Mick Tidrow we said hello, and he's got you started coming up at 6:30 later on tonight. I appreciate you, man.
All right. Likewise, John. Thank you very much.
John Nolan, the voice of the Fever on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right there. You got Grady's number?
I do not know.
I think I do, actually. You know, we don't have to have him on very long. I might just say, hey, you want to join us? Because I haven't talked to Grady and here, I'm going to send you this, James, really quick. Say, hey, JMV wants to know if you want to pop on for 5 minutes to say hello. Because I haven't talked to him forever. It is incredible that I'm able to do this at this rapid pace. This may not be his number still, so I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while. Prime Video. James, do you have Prime Video at your house?
I do, yes.
Maybe Prime Video is not my forte.
It's all right. It's got some good stuff on there. It's got the that Spider Noir series that I started watching.
Spider Noir. That sounds something as if I wouldn't ever watch. Spider Noir. Spider-Man?
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man, but it's an offshoot. It's like 1920s gumshoe detective. Nicolas Cage.
Not Peter Parker?
No, it's not Peter Parker. No.
The spider bite?
I mean, I think there was a spider. He's got spider powers, but he is a 1920s gumshoe detective.
James, have you ever been bitten by a spider?
I'm sure I have at some point in my life.
When I was in 6th grade, I had a spider bite. I think it was a brown recluse.
Oh.
And my elbow, it was not good. I broke out, and it became like a mountain of little abscesses that popped open. It was pretty gross.
That sounds pretty gross.
It was really gross. It wasn't like arachnophobia when it just killed your ass, but it was like, all of a sudden my elbow, hey. So that's what they said. It was a brown recluse.
Brown recluse. I know those things aren't fun.
Well, and my grandma felt that maybe I got that in her house, so she immediately called pest control and just went ahead and did the entire house.
Yeah. Now, did this encounter with a brown recluse leave you scared of spiders?
No, because it coincided. I got sick from a meal I had at Godfather's Pizza. So it was a combination of spider bite and puking up Godfather's Pizza. It was weird. And that's when Godfather's Pizza actually had locations where you could sit in, not just when you go to the convenience store now.
Now, did that experience make you afraid of Godfather's Pizza?
It did. Well, yeah, I did not go to Godfather's Pizza for a while because of that.
That's fair.
Because I thought it was the cheese was way too thick. Spider bite. No good. I don't know if that's still Grady's number, and he may be incredibly busy if it is. But, yeah, just want to give him a shout-out and say, job well done, man. Grady's on Prime Video later on tonight. John Nolan, Mick Tidrow have you covered here. What more could you ask for? Fever hosting The Dream later on tonight. Cambridge Fieldhouse. If you're going down there, remember this to be true, and I'm sure I'll bring this up. Your post-up place, got the district tap. Pre and then post game, happy hour specials, damn good food, TVs everywhere. The District Tap downtown, that is a block from Cambridge Fieldhouse. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Top of the hour, Mike Chappell, Colts OTAs, how things have looked so far. The rest of the league in terms of doing business and what the Rams and the Browns and the Patriots have done. And then looking at the Colts moving forward to the rest of the summer. Mike Chappell coming up at the top of the hour. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, turn your yard into a place that you love with the help of Sundown Gardens in Westfield and Miss Sims Home and Garden in Bargersville. JMV here. I can tell you, you can save big at the end of spring sale now through the 14th. 20% off of annuals, hanging baskets, 30% off of interior home decor, and get this, 40% off of pottery. Now through the 14th, the end of spring sale. The best selection is right now. Find everything that you need to create your dream outdoor living space. 2 locations. Hamilton County shout out. That's Sundown Gardens in Westfield, 186 in Spring Mill Road, and Miss M's Home and Garden, State Road 135, not too far, about 3 miles from where I live, just south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
The Ride with JMV.
And the beat goes on, yeah. And the beat goes on.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So a week from Friday, officially, Team USA World Cup. We'll have to keep track of that. I know Greg Rakestraw is going to be in a variety of places trying to get you to Kansas City with an $1,800 voucher courtesy of Michelob Ultra and our friends at Zinc here locally. Just about there for the United States being the host of the World Cup in soccer. And really, for a lot of you, it's once every 4 years where you gather a little bit of interest. United States, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. That is Group D. The U.S. and Paraguay, Inglewood, California, 9 p.m. coming up a week from tomorrow. And the 19th of June, Australia. These are all group matchups. Turkey and Inglewood coming up on Thursday, the 25th. Plus 6,000 in what people suggest the World Cup Group D being the most even out there. Of the groups, if you're keeping track at home. And I'm certain that you are. The World Cup is just about here. By the way, I mentioned too, Greg Rakestraw is going to give you a chance with Michelob Ultra and Zinc to cash in on going to see World Cup matches in Kansas City. Still to be determined. Greg's at a variety of places, I believe, coming up next. Is that tomorrow? Broad Ripple Tavern, when Greg is there? He'll check in with us coming up on tomorrow's show. Regarding it, I mentioned the Fever. John Nolan just joined us. That podcast, 1075thefan.com, here on The Fan, and then Prime Video with Michael Grady coming up later on tonight versus the Atlanta Dream. 4-4, the Dream 6-2. Be a nice time for the Fever to back up what they talked about in that unified front earlier this week and play well, both ends of the floor. Pacers have prospect workouts today and tomorrow. Now, coming up tomorrow, Braden Smith of Purdue is going to be in for a workout with the Pacers. Sam Alexis of IU is going to be in. Kylan Boswell, also from Illinois, among the players in for a workout with the Pacers coming up on tomorrow, in fact. And, yeah, I would agree. A lot of you Reds fans saying, yeah, it's a good time for the Reds to have a day off because I'm pretty sick and tired of watching it. Yeah, there's a reason. Reds have themselves a day off. Cubs, by the way, at home versus the Athletics later on tonight. That's 8:05. And you've got 3 finals already today. Yankees 2, Guardians 1. Red Sox a loser to the Orioles 8-2. 6-4 was the final in Philly with the Phillies over the San Diego Padres. And one game, in fact, in activity right now. The Giants 10-3 over the Brewers. 37-22 are the Brewers at home. Not faring well. Top of the 7th inning in Milwaukee with the Brewers trailing 10-3 to the San Francisco Giants. There's your afternoon baseball schedule going on. Corey Kinney writes this, JMV, just bumping around your favorite state today. I know you're jealous. I'm very jealous because Corey Kinney is hanging out in Illinois. Oh, check that. I'm sorry. Michigan. I don't like Illinois much better, but Michigan's far worse. Alan writes this, JMV, what did you think about the Toy Story commercial last night featuring Peyton Manning in a Broncos uniform? Yes. How many Colts fans noticed just that? ESPN's We're Going campaign turns animated in celebration of Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5. And I know this rubs a lot of Colts fans the wrong way. But again, I will tell you, that's what happens when you get fired from someplace. and you go someplace else, the place that cuts you loose and lets you go. And listen, you love the legacy of Manning here, and you bristle when you see him rocking anything orange. And that commercial that made its debut, as Alan mentioned last night, for Toy Story 5 had Manning rocking the Broncos uniform. I heard from you. I know you don't like it. Alas, that's the way that it is. True story. The Toy Story Manning was in a Broncos uniform. That's just kind of what happens when you're let go. And that's a part of the legacy, that legacy that was going to be like when you've got to split it, and it's at this point not even really split. When your home base is the Broncos and you're still going to have that notoriety, Colts fans will have to live with that. And you saw it again last night. Elvis writes this, JV, the Knicks win game 2. It's over. The Spurs in 6, but the Knicks look dominant as hell. Wemby better take over the series. He had a struggle late. He had the whole kind of giraffe on roller skates routine a couple of different times. I will say this. Jalen Brunson, really good, closed the game. But overall, I thought the basketball was even at best. Average at best. It wasn't great basketball last night. It wasn't great up and down. A lot of missed shots. A lot of mistakes. A lot of turnovers. And I know that I keep bringing that up in terms of how that relates to the Pacers and the expectation, for example, next year or the next 2 years. But it's true. It's exactly how it looked. If you watched it last night. Subpar to say the least. JMV, if baseball was only a month long, the Cubs and the Reds would make the postseason every year. It doesn't make any sense how they always drop off. I think it comes down to pitching because the bats come and go. Matty Matt. With the Reds, it is pitching and it is depth and it is Nick Kroll. And ownership, but that's the Reds. JMV, why do you hate Michigan? I grew up there. It's beautiful. I'm just not a fan. I've never really been a fan of Michigan. JMV, since you're all grown up now, are you going to reach out and bury the hatchet with Adam Schefter? The whole deal with Adam Schefter is more Adam Schefter. He was a jackass to me. So the hatchet needs to be buried with him, from him. But to answer your question, probably not, because he clearly doesn't give a crap. And honestly, I don't blame him. Nobody really should blame him for that. JMV, I think some of their terminology mixed up. Rather than a naysayer, I think you're more of a soothsayer. You seem to have a grasp on what's to come and are much wiser than given credit. Thank you, Nick. I am very wise. Thank you. Just not very smart. I'm not very bright, but wise, I think that's the difference, right? Like being wise, you don't have to be, I'm not book smart. But I agree with you on the whole wise portion of it right there. JV, I agree with you. Somebody that runs out on the floor like last night to get a selfie during game 1 of the NBA Finals deserves more than just a permanent ban from NBA games. How about an ass beating, an ass whipping? Our world would be so much better if early on in your existence you got a whipping or a beating. We all did, and look where we are right now. But timeout, groundings, or firm finger wagging toward doesn't work any longer. Yeah, we got whipped. You took a beating or got whipped. And believe me, I know my friends in Generation X are much better for that right now. got to switch, got to paddle. As I mentioned, maybe take an ass whipping. That is necessary. JMV, I know you're no longer in on the Stanley Cup final, but what'd you think about game one? Game two's later on tonight. In fact, you have Vegas and Carolina, game number 2. Here's what I gather, because I watched a great deal of that, and I did watch game one, and I'll probably watch game 2 coming up later on tonight as well in Carolina, see if the Hurricanes can even it up. But these two teams, the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes, to me, are by far the best. It is legit why these two teams are here. Because they will suffocate you defensively. They will play out in a penalty kill, and they just come at you in waves. They are relentless to a point where others, just simply put, are not. I said this regarding Carolina and the Habs. That's the Montreal Canadiens in the Eastern Conference Finals of that. Montreal is this young upstart team that pace of play, skating ability, quickness, they were very fluid. The Canes came at you, and they put you in a headlock and choke you out. Montreal couldn't deal with that. Colorado couldn't deal with that out west. Versus Vegas. So, yeah, game 2, Stanley Cup final with Vegas up a game in that best of 7. 8 o'clock coming at you later on tonight. All right, quick break. We'll come back. We've got Post Malone. We got Post Malone and Jelly Roll tickets to give away. Mike Chappell coming up at the top of the hour. NFL just beyond the Colts, but we'll start with the Colts with Mike and OTAs coming up at the top of the hour as well. James, what do we got going on tomorrow? Do we know yet? Is it still a work in progress?
Still a work in progress.
Was Wells on with the morning show today? Did I see that? I thought I saw Wells on with the morning show.
I did not see that.
Huh. Wells is going to come on with us. I think
he was on the morning show, according to Eddie.
I thought he was. Yeah. But he told me last week he wanted to come on with us. He's, I guess, back from...
Is he back from London?
Back from London, I think.
Oh, he called from London,
he called
to
from
Eddie.
London.
Yeah, I thought he was still there for a couple more weeks.
Wow. Wells. See, I bet you damn straight they didn't do any slow jam re-entry with Wells on the morning show.
I can almost guarantee
Those
you they
dudes
did not.
wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about. So Wells tomorrow, I would guess. From London. Is he still in London tomorrow?
I thought he said he was going to be there for 12 weeks or something.
12 weeks?
Maybe I'm misremembering it. I
moving
thought it was going to
there
be
or
a
what?
really long time.
JMV, you're absolutely right. It's more than just being banned from NBA games for the rest of your life. An ass whipping would help in this. It was just some big nerd that ran out there last night and tried to get a selfie with, hey, wait, a selfie with Wembanyama. The cure-all is an ass whipping. True story. More than just being banned from NBA games for the future. Mike Chappell, less than 15 away. You guys going to sit tight. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Hey, by the way, too, I did learn this earlier today. Not one, but 2 live shows. We're back in the swing of things, and we are back with Brent Holverson coming up next week as well. I shall explain locations. There is nothing better than joining this show in the summertime at a live location. I'll explain when and where coming up a little bit later on. Mike Chappell, top of the hour. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, John here for Big Red Liquors. We're talking 100 plus locations in the state of Indiana. In fact, 19 new in the Indianapolis area alone, and it powers the All Request Saturday Night JMV Takeover every Saturday night from 6 until midnight on B105.7. I talked to Matt Colglazier yesterday of Big Red Liquors about some of these great deals. Now, I consider myself an apt performer, an adequate drinker. You know what I mean? I'm very social in terms of drinking, but if there's something that is going to tie the host of this show in a knot, it probably is going to be tequila. And I can tell you, Casa Amigos Blanco Tequila 750s, you can save $5 this weekend at Big Red Liquors. It powers double shot power. High Noon Hard Seltzer, 8-packs. You're going to save there. Cutwater, 4-pack cans, a savings of $2. Sun Cruiser Lemonade Variety, 8-packs, $3 off right there, too. Maker's Mark, 46, $5 in savings, and that's just the beginning. Your weekend starts with a trip to Big Red Liquors. Powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. Plus, you can find even more deals, greater deals, in fact, red hot deals, speakeasy deals, and the location nearest you online right now. That's bigredliquors.com. Hey, John for Bullseye eventgroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. You got that. And you have the best pregame party of all time. So you can combo up the 2026 Colts schedule. You can find out the home games that you like, combo that up with the all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink, the DJ Skids, the Laura Steele, the incredible time that makes your game day experience the best that it can be at bullseyeeventgroup.com. It is a tremendous deal. Seriously, do this right now. Make sure you have your passes to the Colts VIP tailgate before every Colts home game, and then tickets to your favorite game, and get them right now with my friend Kyle Kinnett and bullseyeeventgroup.com. It is going to make your game day experience the best it can be, regardless of what goes on in Lucas Oil Stadium. Your day is made. Again, combo it up. Colts VIP tailgate, tickets to any of the games of your choice this season with the Colts with bullseyeeventgroup.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Bill, I just have one question for you. What color is an orange? Ted, you bonehead. Its color is the same as its name, just like a lemon.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Happy birthday to a friend of the show. The late 80s album In Effect Mode and former Iowa Hawkeye tight end recruit. Did you know? Albie Shore is 57 today. I'm assuming Albie Shore at 57, the class of, would that be the class of 87 or 88? If he's turning 57, I'm assuming that's probably the late class of 1987, but he was a top-notch high school football player in suburban New York City back in the late 80s, turned down a scholarship offer to play at Iowa. I believe that would have had to have been Hayden Fry as the head coach back in those days in Iowa City. And he turned to music, and the first effort, In Effect Mode, one of the 80s classic slow jam classics from Albie Shore, that is night and day. He turns 57 today. Thank you, guys. Indeed, tequila, I consider myself a handler of beverages. Is that a good way to put it?
I think that is.
I think I am very solid, very strong in drinking a little bit. Tequila will knock me up.
You're not a tequila man?
Yeah, tequila will, as MC Hammer once said, turn this mother out.
I love tequila.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Why is it just tie me in such a knot?
I don't know, man.
It just is weird.
Are you more of
like one, if it's one, like the first one does. And that's why when I was doing that Casa Amigos read for Big Red Liquors a moment ago, I thought, man, tequila, like everything else, but if it's tequila, it's going to be a problem. Why
does it just hit you too hard, or does it mess with your stomach? Or
no,
does it
man, it
just
does.
Hit you too hard?
It is like a sledgehammer to my dome, and I don't
wow.
get it because I'm really good at everything else. I just soak right up. Tequila,
I don't know, man.
Tequila, Peter Gabriel's me, sledgehammers me.
Now, are you cool with the whiskeys and the bourbons and all the brown stuff?
Yeah. Brown water's great for a guy.
I'm the opposite. I can't really do any of the brown stuff.
But you're good with
I'm good with tequila.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's almost like it's when I smell it, I go, ooh.
See, that's what whiskey does for me. It flashes me back to when I was a young man and had too many whiskeys when I was too young to know any better.
Sure. Yeah, I don't get it. And it's weird because it even stands out if it's in a drink. If it's like in a margarita, it stands out. Even with all that sweetness and ice and salt and lime.
You can't even do a margarita.
Well, I can do it, but it will tie me in a knot. Like it's the quickest thing. If you want to say, hey, we want to get this guy fully in the bag in like the next 35 minutes, you can do that with tequila with me, but you can't do that with anything else.
Well, then you just have a tequila drink to start, and then you just Michelob Ultra it the rest of the way.
Tequila, I'm very vulnerable with tequila.
It's your Achilles heel.
Evidently. Very vulnerable I am. JMV, I don't recall if Wells was in London, but I know he was hanging in Europe somewhere in the 8 o'clock hour this morning with KB and James Boyd. That's from Nick. I guess we'll find out coming up tomorrow where he is. I don't understand why tequila does that when nothing else does. It does work on me that nothing else is capable of doing. And I, again, consider myself a pretty strong veteran of this.
That's the word I was going.
Veteran presence in terms of drinking.
Yep, that's the term I would have used for this.
Yeah, and I go rookie status with that. I don't know why. And it starts with the scent. I smell it and I go, oh boy, here we go. I kind of wonder if maybe that was in the early stages of me just kind of getting used to drinking and then taking a wrong turn.
That could be it, yeah.
I wonder if that's it.
Did you not do a lot of tequila when you were younger?
Well, I think it was one of the first things I ever did. And that may be the
I
reason
gotcha.
behind it right there. JMV, you need to drink some good tequila with me, not shots, but sip it. I got news for you. I come from Greene County. I'm not sipping anything. All right. It is gulping. It is shot taking. I don't know why that is. That's why even in the world of bourbon, and I've been out with Brent and all these top-notch bourbon people, and they go, "Hey, let's sit around here. We're gonna craft you an ice ball, and we're gonna sip it." I go, "Ain't no sipping going on here." And that's just done.
Yeah, I love tequila a lot, but I am not somebody who will sip a tequila. I am taking it all at once.
It is useless to put an ice ball. It takes so much time to make one of those ice balls. You're going to waste it on me because I'm gulping it. It's down. I'm shooting it. Can't help it. All right, so Mike Chappell coming up on the other side. Mike Chappell will talk Colts and OTAs and a lot of the moves earlier this week in the NFL that for the Rams, for the Browns, and for the Patriots were considered, and they were major moves. And we'll compare that to the Colts this offseason. Mike Chappell and Post Malone Jelly Roll tickets coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I want you to stay right there. Enjoy more of the show. The final hour straight ahead. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. It's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Believe me, there's going to be a point when you're going to need it. You're going to need the helper of the absolute best in plumbing. That's Lance and his local team at 317-927-7186. In fact, it may not be right now, but I guarantee you one of these days you will. And somebody is going to need to be clutch in your world to get the job done right, to expedite the process when you need them. Not on their time, but on your time. That's Lance and LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. For any plumbing emergency, 317-927-7186. I'll also tell you this, if you're thinking about in terms of a sump pump, you don't want water where water should not be in and around your foundation. So a sump pump and a battery backup is essential to your existence. They have the best right now for the best prices. I mean, discount prices. If you want to shore up that category in your life, you can do that with Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. 317-927-7186. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I mentioned a little bit earlier, Braden Smith of the Boilermakers from Westfield working out for the Pacers tomorrow. Evidently, according to Dustin DePurak and the Pacers, he is off the roster for tomorrow's Pacer draft workout. He and evidently Chris Bell will be replaced for tomorrow's workout. So something we were going to kind of follow tomorrow. I'm trying to think. Oh, here it is. Purdue point guard and former Westfield High School star Braden Smith is off the list of prospects expected to take part in the Pacers draft prospect workout tomorrow, according to a social media post by the Pacers. Dustin DePurak has the story for you at the Indy Star, who covers the Pacers. Sam Alexis of IU, Kylan Boswell of Illinois, among those that will be a part of it. Braden Smith, according, again, to the Pacer team social post and to this story from Dustin DePurak, will not tomorrow. Keep you updated. Fever Dream later on tonight. Gamebridge Fieldhouse. 6:30 coverage begins. That is Mick Tidrow right here. And John Nolan's got the call coming up a little bit later on this evening as well. The Fever 4-4 on the season. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, OTAs and more with the Colts fully embedded now in the offseason. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 joins us. Good afternoon, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What's been the standout so far from what you gathered from OTAs with the Colts?
It's hard to tell because a lot of the guys, the Jonathan Taylors and Sauce Gardner and Mooney Ward, and they're there one day maybe and not the next. So it's hard to tell. We'll get a much better read next week when it's a mandatory 3 days. And on top of that, Daniel Jones is very limited, 7-on-7, which is it's a step. It's a significant step that he's doing that. But then Alec Pierce isn't participating because he had that procedure on his ankle. It's really hard to tell. I've been impressed with the fact that Jones is out there, throwing the ball pretty well. He doesn't have all the mechanics down perfectly because of the Achilles still limits him, but that's the main thing. They haven't had any injuries. Some teams have. I've seen a couple teams have had an Achilles and this, that, and the other, so they haven't had that. So, that, on top of that, they don't have Jalen Travis from the times we've been out there, who's going to be their right tackle, has had what Shane Steichen called a little back. Well, he's 6'8", 339, so it's not a little back, but he's got a back that's keeping him out of OTAs. We'll have a much better idea next week on what they look like when you've got everybody who's going to be somebody in camp practicing, except for, again, Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce, and we'll see about Jalen Travis.
How much you take away from Daniel Jones, just beyond what you saw?
A lot. I think he's, 6 months out of surgery. I think that the surgery was December 9th, I think. I think the injury was the 7th. Surgery is the 9th. So he's, 6 months removed. He'll be like 8 months in training camp, 9 months in September, which is sort of quicker than what you hear. Normally it's 9 months, which it'll be 9 months when he plays in September, but it'll be 8 months really. So that it's quicker. But again, the fact he's out there doing things. There was one drill they had where they've got the pads on the ground and the quarterbacks are like, hopscotching over the bags while they do their drop backs is impressive because they're out there. He's out there moving around. Whatever we see from him is a plus. The Colts have been, I realize we've had issues with transparency with injuries, quarterback injuries. But they've been up front all along that they really thought he'd be ready for training camp. And then over the last month, they sort of said, he might be out there doing something in OTAs, and he is. That's encouraging. I would rather see that than, back in the Luck days where we had him throwing Nerf balls and then mini footballs and then whatever. So I think it's a plus. It's a plus for him to be out there doing what he's doing, throwing the ball quite a bit, stays after practice and runs sprints. I'm sure he's not, pushing his limits on those. But this is a process to steal words from coaches, and I think he's ahead of schedule, and he may be more ready September. What is it, the 13th? Than maybe I thought he would be. I think he'll be ready to go. Maybe not full Daniel Jones where he can get out there and run and escape the pocket and run and pick up a 3rd and 7 with his legs. Maybe not quite that much, but I'm encouraged that he's going to be pretty well ready to play quarterback in September.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Do you believe it was just a moment in time in his career? It was just kind of good fortune before the injury took place, or do you believe there really to be a significant connection in higher level play between offensive head coach Shane Steichen and quarterback Daniel Jones?
Well, there better be. He's their future. However far you want to take this out for the next 2 years, he's their guy, and there really isn't a plan B. So again, it's redundant, but that was the case when they traded for Sauce Gardner, the 2 first-round picks, and then he has the Achilles injury. But no, that's what they've done. Again, I think what's encouraging is that when he was playing at a high level and they were 8-2, really before the fractured leg and then the Achilles, I was encouraged because he wasn't doing anything super extraordinary. He was playing the position at a high level, but nothing where he thought, man, he can't maintain that. I thought they had done a very good job offensively, not defensively, but offensively, of giving him a strong offensive line, of giving him a good, not great receiving core, of giving him a great running back, and a tight end who is going to set records here, Tyler Warren. So if you're going to have a quarterback who you don't want to be, throwing the ball 40 times and having to win games, they did things the right way with Daniel Jones. Now, he's got to come back and do his part. And the supporting cast, again, there's no Michael Pittman. You've got to compensate there. And we'll see at right tackle when you lose Braden Smith. I've mentioned Braden. Whenever I see Braden Smith's name, I default to the Colts Braden Smith, not the Purdue Braden Smith.
Yeah.
But they've got to maintain that. And my biggest concern, 2 big concerns, is how do they, and we've talked this to death as well. How do you compensate for the volume that Michael Pittman took care of, 130 targets and 90 catches over the last 5 years? And can Jonathan Taylor stay healthy? Last year, knock on wood, he wasn't on the injury report one day, not one day, which is extremely rare for a high volume running back. So if they can maintain that, then they've got a good supporting cast. Another receiver has to emerge. Maybe that's a guy that's not here yet. We'll see. So I think it can work if he can come back and do his job, and everybody, and then there's no letdown from guys around him.
Mike Chappell joins us. We saw a blockbuster deal and then a big-time deal, a couple of defensive players and a wide receiver changing hats earlier this week. I'm curious, would any of those have been better or more ideal for this Colts team than the one we saw with Sauce Gardner back a year ago at the trade deadline?
Well, yeah, but they were never going to get a Myles Garrett. They were never, although 2 first-round draft. It'd be really interesting to sit down and really compare
I guess
trade.
it's about the moment, right? But yeah, when you see that, it does speak volumes about what if.
Right, but it's not done in a vacuum, and it's you've got Alec Pierce that you've got to re-sign. Would have been made more sense to go after AJ Brown? I don't know, maybe. Then you're not going to bring back Alec Pierce. It's interesting. Uh, we've got our podcast on Fox 59 that's posted today, and Dave Griffiths is always, and he's right. And we've probably talked about it. I'm not as much on him as he is about how they've just not been able to get that number one receiver since Ty. From Marvin to Reggie to Ty. And Pittman was a really good receiver. He simply wasn't a one that you want. You want more. Well, there's only a handful of AJ Browns and CeeDee Lambs and Nakua and Jamar Chase. There's only a handful of those guys, Justin Jefferson. So when you don't have that guy, you have to compensate with receptions by committee, which is what these guys have done. So this is kind of where they are. Would it have been better to get to spend 2 first-round draft picks on Trey Hendrickson would never get 2 first-round draft picks, but would you rather have Trey Hendrickson as a free agent than Sauce Gardner for 2 picks? Probably. And what's really interesting is in the what if world, they had planned on Justin Wally competing for a starting cornerback job as a rookie, and then he tears the knee ligament. But what if he's healthy and of course then you get Travarius Ward with the concussions. But what if Wally is that good as a rookie, and you're 7-1 or 7-2, whatever they were at the time? Do you make the Sauce Gardner trade? I don't know. I'm not saying by any stretch that Justin Wally is Sauce Gardner. He's not, and he probably never will be. But maybe you don't think you have to go that extreme for the position. A lot of things sort of in hindsight conspired against them. And I'm sure you'd love to have only given up a 1 and maybe, I don't know, a future 3 for Sauce, but that's what they did. And we'll see this year. We'll see this year with whether or not they can stay. They were together for like 90 plays last year, 1 full game and 2 plays in another. And if you're going to have players of that quality and investment, they've got to be on the field. Those 2 players have got to be the best cornerback tandem the Colts have ever had. They have to be. And then you throw Cam Bynum in there, who's elite at safety. The secondary has to be the engine of the defense, and normally you want that to be your pass rush. And we'll see where that's at. But they need Sauce Gardner to stay on the field. They need Mooney Ward to stay on the field. To at least say that's not the reason they weren't successful, because if they're not successful, that's a whole new show on what they're going to do in the offseason if Daniel Jones and this group doesn't work this year.
It's Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I think about this. I talked to Justin Wally last week, and he talked about how he believes that he is as good outside as he is inside, and whether or not he is earmarked to take over for Kenny Moore II, which is certainly the conventional wisdom right here. But do you think that if he does play inside in terms of taking over for Kenny Moore II, that there's something maybe left considering how good he believes he can be on the outside as well?
Yeah, I mean, he'll be the nickel. And again, they thought he was good enough outside. That was the initial plan, and now he's going to go inside. And I tell you that their nickel defense is really their base defense. They very seldom have 3 linebackers on the field. They'll have, whether it's going to be 3 corners or 3 safeties, they're going to have DBs on the field a ton. And he will be given every chance to be that guy. And he's got some big shoes to fill, because Kenny Moore is pretty good. I mean, when you talk about waiver pickups and what you get from the guy, he's probably a notch above Mike Adams, although he wasn't a waiver guy, he was a free agent. But that what you got out of Kenny Moore was more than you could even dream of. So he's got big shoes to fill, and barring injury, he will be on the field a ton.
So Mike Chappell, who joins us now. So July the 4th, I believe, is the target date to where I guess we ultimately find out where the Bear Stadium is going. And the reason why we bring it up at all is because it looks like you could very well end up in Hammond, Indiana, in the state of Indiana. I think you and I have discussed this before, but what deep down inside do the Colts and certainly ownership feel about the state of Indiana having another team, even if it is in Northwest Indiana like that, another team within their state?
I don't think they really care, really, because it's so far north. It's 20 miles from Soldier Field, Hammond. Hammond's actually closer to Soldier Field than Arlington Heights. I was talking to Russ McQuaid, who's covered this for Fox 59, and I'll believe it when I see it. Now I'm starting to believe it a little bit more. Everything that you see leads you to believe that the Illinois politicians think they're just bluffing. That hey, they're always the Chicago Bears. They're not going anywhere. And maybe the Bears are bluffing. I don't know. Until it's done, it's not done. The one thing that a team that is intent and needs to build a new stadium, the only thing you need is leverage. And leverage comes in the form of another city. This is back when LA had no teams and the Colts, the Ursays were trying to get this done, that done. And I don't think Jimmy was ever close to moving the team. I really don't. But boy, the threat, all it takes is a threat. And the idea of me being an Illinois politician and Chicago essentially loses the Bears on my watch, I would hate that. It seems like they're playing chicken with the Bears, and Hammond's just sitting there saying, "Here we are." Right now they're the prettiest girl in the room. And they're batting their eyes.
The fail-safe is what they are. They're the fail-safe.
Yeah, they are. They are. But there's got to be. You said July 4th. I haven't seen the date.
Yeah.
But the fact that Illinois is not having a special session, I assume you can call a special session whenever. But I saw one report where whether it was Chicago or a politician, where they said when they adjourned their legislature, they said, well, this is the big decision, and we just can't make this in a day or two. What the hell you been doing for the last 2 or 3 years? That's what's crazy. That's why I say it's like they just believe the Bears aren't going to move because the Bears would never move. Well, now there's a possibility. Is it 50-50? I don't know. But if Illinois doesn't get its act together, we're going to have, I tell you, Kevin Bowen, your good friend, has got a Hammond Bears t-shirt. I'm going to get me one.
Are you really?
I just think it'd be cool to have a Hammond Bears, and whether they're here or not, maybe it'd be better to have one if they're not here.
You probably still have an Indianapolis Arrows t-shirt too, don't you?
Yeah, really. I've got to find it, but I've got a Houston Astros jersey, the rainbow, back in the Mike Scott days.
Yeah, you should.
I've got a Yankee pinstripes, but I just think again on point. If Illinois doesn't get its act together, we're going to have a Super Bowl in about 6 or 7 years in Hammond.
Oh, you're going to have a Super Bowl. You're going to have Final Fours because there's going to be a roof on this thing. You're going to have Big Ten championships, national championships. It's all going to be in Hammond. Yes,
and that's why I hope Hammond in a month or 6 weeks isn't standing there with dead flowers in their hands saying, wait, I thought we were going to the dance. And because again, maybe I wouldn't trust what the Bears are saying if I'm Indiana. I wouldn't trust what the Illinois politicians are saying if I'm Chicago. This is the dance you have to play. And normally I don't think it gets to the point to where the team says, listen, doggone it, we've got to know something. There's got to be a deadline in the Bears' mind of when this has to be yes or no. And all Hammond says is we're waiting for the yes. in Chicago. I saw the Chicago was at the mayor of Chicago said, I think we can make Chicago work, Soldier Field. And those guys said, we're so far past Chicago being an option that where have you been? So I'm really curious. I think it'd be strange to have, I guess, would they be called the Chicago, what would they be called? Chicago Bears? Have Hammond?
Yeah, they'd be Chicago Bears, just like, it was never the New Jersey Giants or New Jersey Jets.
You're right.
Yeah.
In the New York Giants and New York Jets play in New Jersey, so it's no different. But it would look stupid.
Yeah.
But we've seen a lot of dumb things in our lives.
So Mike Chappell with us. Quickly, before I let you go, I don't know if you noticed this, but I did last night. So it was unveiled with ESPN as they are promoting Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5. And Peyton and Eli were a part of it in Toy Story, and their toy figures, the one with Peyton Manning was in a Broncos uniform. Was that lost on you last night at all?
No, it's funny. I've got some stuff going on with the Hall of Fame with Adam Vinatieri, and it rankles me to see him in a Patriots uniform, although I understand that. He was there for 10 years and won 3 Super Bowls and all that. But with Peyton, whenever I see him in a Broncos jersey, he was there for, 4 years?
Yeah.
He was here for 13 or 14, whatever it was. Yeah. I think if you go on, I do a lot of stuff with Pro Football Reference, and I think on their leaderboard, they've got Peyton in an orange jersey.
Yeah.
And there's part of, I don't know whether it's the mother hen part of you think, wait, damn it. He's a Colt.
Is it getting cut? He got cut here? Is that part of? Is that his decision? Because I'm assuming he does very little without being the ultimate decision in what transpires in his life.
Well, when it comes to him endorsing or being part of this, that, and the other, he's got to have final say on what jersey he would wear.
Yeah.
On other things like stat sites and all that, that's just they don't. Say, hey, Peyton, what do you want to be?
But this is different because he had to have final say on this, and that's what he went with.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he lives out there, I understand. And I still think he's chafed that they cut him, although they had to. Bob Kravitz finally won me over. It was the only option they had that made any sense was to cut him. But I can still remember at Anderson University, it was that summer of 2011. To where he signed his latest contract, and he said, "It's so great that I'm going to be a Colt for life." And then less than a year later, he's adios. But it always just sort of rankles you a little bit when you see guys who spent the bulk of their career elsewhere in the latest jersey, like Peyton. Again, not so much Vinny, because of his career really took off and is founded in New England. Peyton's different. I don't know. You just kind of think, yeah, really?
There he is. There he is right there in the orange of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what happens when you get cut, right? When you're relieved of your duties by something, you probably still, that is never, with him especially, that's never going to go away. You know that.
Peyton's a great guy. I consider him a friend. But don't get on his bad side because he remembers.
Here it is again, by the way, too. The commercial is actually playing right now on ESPN. And it's got Randy Moss is in a Patriots uniform.
How many teams did he play for, though? Like 5?
Yeah. So
I mean, he was all over the place.
Yep. Anyway, Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. You have a fantastic weekend, pal. We'll do it again next week.
You too. You guys be well.
It's Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. I don't know why I brought that up, but it was interesting, and a lot of you had brought that up to me about that Toy Story 5 promo and Manning being in a Broncos uniform. And as Mike mentioned, it still kind of fires people up around here. Quick break. We'll come back. Got a quick update weather-wise for you. It is gorgeous out there. And to solidify that fact, here's a quick one from Fox 59. It's bullseyeeventgroup.com and the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. You can combo that up. Eyeball the 2026 Colts schedule, the home games you would like to attend, if not all of them. But make sure you save and have the best experience possible on game day by comboing that up with bullseyeeventgroup.com. I'm talking about the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. All you can eat, all you can drink. You know, we celebrate that every single Colts home game, but also you combo that up and save with tickets to the game, your favorite game on the home schedule. And you can do that with Kyle Kinnett and bullseyeeventgroup.com. In fact, do it right now while supplies last to make sure you're a part of it in 2026. The ultimate game day experience with bullseyeeventgroup.com. That's the Colts VIP tailgate. That's a ticket to your favorite Colts home game, if not them all. Make sure you get those right now online, bullseyeeventgroup.com. You know this to be true. The district tap is outstanding. You can be posted up down there pregame and then postgame just a block from the field house later on tonight. The damn good food. Take advantage of those happy hour specials right now. It is the absolute best. And then if you want to stay out of the hustle of downtown, the district tap on the north side of Clearwater Crossing with my friend Sammy is awesome for your Thursday night. You can go outside, you can go inside, enjoy it all with the damn good food, the happy hour specials, entertainment. You get music. You also can ask them about catering for any of your parties or events, all that, and then some downtown, and then at Clearwater Crossing on the north side. To check out more, thedistricttap.com.
The Ride with JMV.
He's my best friend. He's my pal. He's my homeboy, my rotten soldier. He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
James over there, I'm John. Thank you for joining us.
Back in studio again tomorrow, a couple of times next week. Fox Garden, Brent Halverson. Tony Renz coming up, I believe, next Thursday. Friday with Michelob Ultra at Ralston's Draft House. 2 incredible places and 2 opportunities for you to join me live coming up next week. And then more to come as the summertime ramps up. Your opportunity to join me live. And believe me, there are no better times on a day like today when we're outside on location at a place together. We got one coming up as well at Behringer's with my friend Rob, South Meridian. Can you imagine how much fun we're going to have this summer together? On location with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. JMV, I'm just saying, the Colts had to cut Peyton and had no other choice. I think that's a terrible take. Now, when you bring that up, consider that you're talking to the person that cobbled together this brainchild, this idea at the time. And I owned up and said at the moment it was the worst take of all time. But as time passed, it seems like it's a much better take. My take was keep Manning and draft Luck. That was my take. Keep Manning and draft Luck. Now you wish that would have happened, don't you? Now it doesn't sound so silly. It's probably still pretty silly, but it doesn't sound as silly now as it did at the moment. I think with somebody like that, with a team like that, in a situation as was then, I think good, savvy organizations, as we know, right, don't they end up finding a way? Didn't turn out so great. I said, draft the dude and keep the dude. And people thought I was nuts, including me. Not so nuts now. Maybe I'm still nuts, but seems like you got to find a way. JMV, keep your tequila in the freezer? Drinking on the rocks. Don Julio, I'm going to mispronounce the hell out of this. Don Julio Reposado is a bit better. This is Greg with 2 G's in Avon. Do you ever know, do you keep tequila in the freezer over there, James? You big tequila drinker, you?
I'll put some tequila in the freezer, yeah.
All right, then.
Keep it nice and cold.
Greg with 2 G's and Avon's on target with that bad boy. I just smell it, and it's almost like I get drunk when I smell it. You ever have that person around you that like drank one little quick thing and then acted drunk?
Oh, yeah.
The drunk actor. That's kind of what it'd be. And then I think I'm drunk. I don't know why. Tequila just always has hit me differently.
Just the fumes of it?
Yeah, it's weird. And again, you're not talking to an amateur here. I'm a professional. So you know. 239-1070. Speaking of professional, in Brooklyn, New York, he is staked out. It is Mike. Hello, Mike. How are you?
What's up, JMV?
Mike, you look back on the whole Manning thing, and you think that they could have kept Manning and drafted Luck and said the hell with it.
Oh, man, you struck a nerve there, brother.
I love it.
I was right. I was right on. Not only was it the option, the football gods decreed that would have to happen. It was the first year of the rookie wage scale. Without a doubt, I would have done it. You would have done it.
Well, I said to do it, and then everybody said I was crazy, including me. And now we go decades later, and it seems like maybe you could have done it.
Yeah, well, it's still raw to me. It's still, because that was the downfall. That was the point. That was the inflection point of this whole debacle that went on after. You know, especially considering if there was a guy who did not deserve to be fired, it was Bill Polian. That had to be more about Jim Irsay wanting to exert more control. I mean, the guy loses a job with one down year after he painstakingly put together a dynasty for a decade, and he loses his franchise quarterback, and he has a down year, and you fire him.
Hey, Mike, I always put it this way. A guy that, like he was, ran roughshod over people, ruled with the so-called iron fist, and Bill Polian did do that, and he ran roughshod over people. When you do that, and all of a sudden, Mike, you become vulnerable, anybody that has the extra grind is going to go after your ass. And that's what Bill dealt with over there at the end. There are people that thought, okay, you treated me like this. Now I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get your ass right now. And that was part of the equation.
I'm sure you're right on a lot of that. It's just that with me, it's just about, and when I heard that, and then I think even there was a report came out that, the people in the organization are happy because Bill Powell, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want him to run a tight ship. I want everybody to be on pins and needles. I want everybody to be miserable. Like you said, you go down the wrong hallway, and he's flipping out. That's what's needed. You need a guy like that. Those are the guys that are successful in the league. You're not running a popularity contest or feel good session around there.
This is not why you. Is this why you called because of that? I brought that up. Is that it? You were inspired by this?
It kind of is, and that's pretty much it. Because that whole Peyton Manning thing, when I still couldn't believe they offloaded it. And if you would have had the Stanford AD who would have served an apprenticeship for a year or two under Peyton Manning, maybe he would have turned out a lot differently. Being around a guy like Peyton Manning to understand what a privilege.
A little bit more love and desire to play the game, and not so much about architecture and vacuuming and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Years later, it's laughable right now, even though it's pretty sad. Yes.
Yeah, well, like I said, to me, that's one thing that I ever get over because, like you said, there's just guys. Peyton Manning, I can't see Peyton Manning in a Bronco uniform. Right? When I see, I can't watch it. Even though, when I see like highlights of the Broncos days. Yeah. I was actually flipping through NFL Network like over the weekend. They had the replay of the Bears Colts Super Bowl. I picked it up like somewhere in the middle, and I was like, man, those were the glory days.
Glory days indeed, pal. It is. Yeah. Well, hey, settle your New York friends down a little bit with that Game 1 Knicks win last night, okay? Still a long way to go.
Hey, listen, I got the secret weapon here because my buddies last year, I did everybody in Indiana a favor. We went to like 4 or 5 games to a sports bar to watch. They lost everyone, and most of them were against Indiana. Yeah. He stood home. We didn't go out once this year. They've won. Now he sent out the text. Well, where are we going on Friday night? So tomorrow night. So I'm like, you sure you want to do this? Because I still haven't seen a Knicks victory, and this is going to be like if they lose this one, then I know he's definitely a jinx.
Yeah. Mike, it's always a pleasure, pal. I appreciate you.
Okay, brother. Take care.
That is Mike in Brooklyn right there. That is pretty funny. The inspiration out of that conversation with Mike Chappell, by the way, podcast at 1075thefan.com. James, this is somebody trying to be funny, but they say, hey, JMV, don't let them Agnes you. They're me getting Agnes. I think I've already been that because we've tried to get Fever people besides the ones like John Nolan, who's awesome and calls the game, or Bria that does the analyst work, or maybe even Tidrow or Chloe that covers them for the Star. They're a team that used to beg us to have their people on, and now they don't return calls, which is beyond lame. So do we call that now being Agnes, I guess? I don't know.
Oh, has Agnes become a verb now?
It's weird. Really weird. Everybody's going to forget about this, I guess, pretty soon, but it just, again, it's another layer of doing it to yourself. And that's kind of how they deal with us. And a shout out to Jake, who gets Stephanie White on because they know one another. And really, I'll be honest with you, that's in similar fashion why I get Chad Buchanan on. Otherwise, I don't have anybody on from the Pacers outside of Chad. Well, I guess Rick Carlisle did call in. That was cool. But that was Rick Carlisle motivated. I don't think that had anything to do with them.
Oh, yeah, he just did that on his own accord.
He did. So a shout out to Rick Carlisle and Chad Buchanan, our friends with the Pacers, and those that call and cover the Pacers, because between that and the Fever, we get jack squat. And that's on them. And I will say this. We come hard at the Colts all the time, and there's Matt Conte putting the quarterback on with the show. And believe me, Chris Ballard may sit across from me with his arms crossed and want to be anyplace else. Root canal, enema, whatever. A musical that's 5.5 hours long, but he sits there and he answers the questions. So never lump them in that category because the Colts are strong with it and understand it. So I don't know, Ken, to answer your question, I don't know if that's going to happen. This will go away. If the Fever win later on, that's going to go a long way to dismissing a lot of this criticism and controversy, at least in the short. You do have the Dream and the Fever later on tonight. Tidrow's got you bottom of the 6 o'clock. So that does mean I've got to, there's another thing too. I've got to go an extra 8 minutes because of that.
Yep, you do.
Son of a gun. Friday in studio tomorrow. I mentioned the couple of times on the road coming up next week. We've got a lot of road shows to come as well. You guys can join us here in the summertime. All right, quick break. We'll come back. We've got Post Malone and Jelly Roll tickets to give away before we're out of here as well. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Oh, John here with a great idea. That's Big Red Liquors. You guys got something planned this weekend? A little outdoor stuff planned, a little party? You are not party host because you've been around me too long. And I would like to think that I have carved a path of knowledge for you. You are never, ever BYOB, meaning you provide, you support the party that you're throwing. That means stopping at Big Red Liquors. For example, Big Red Liquors this weekend, incredible deals. Coors Light, Coors Banquet Beer, 16-ounce, 12-pack cans. You're going to save there, too. Corona and Modelo, 24-pack cans. How about $5 in savings? That includes Corona Premier and Modelo Oro. They're low-calorie beers. Twisted Tea, family 12-pack cans. You're going to save $5 there as well. And even if you want to go NA, Heineken NA, 6-pack bottles, $2 in savings. So, yes, never, ever BYOB. You support your party effort, and you make sure with that support, you make that stop at Big Red Liquors. 100-plus locations, state of Indiana, one near you, powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. To find that location nearest you, that's BigRedLiquors.com.
The Ride with JMV.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Post Malone, Jelly Roll, who wants some? Number 40, 40. 317-239-1070. I need to see some major activity on this text line right now. 40. What is that, the Ultimate Badass Tour or something like that coming up a week from tomorrow night?
That sounds right.
Sounds good. The Ultimate Badass Tour. Post Malone, who I believe, maybe not the last time Post Malone was in town, but of the handful of times he's been in town, did he not stop at the East Washington location of Olive Garden on his way out of town? Post Malone, I believe, right?
I believe you are correct.
Had to have himself a little bit of Olive Garden. And unlimited breadsticks and salad right there. Well done, Post Malone.
Oh, it's the Big Ass Stadium Tour.
What did I say it was?
The Badass. The Ultimate Badass Stadium Tour is what you called it.
I like mine better.
Yeah,
the
I do
Ultimate
too.
Badass. So now it's the Big Ass because they're playing in Big Ass stadiums.
That is correct.
It's not the Ultimate Badass. Number 40 is getting hot. You guys are hot and heavy, like Elaine's boyfriend, the saxophone player in an episode of Seinfeld. Remember Hot and Heavy? Remember why he suffered the consequences? Hot and heavy. All right, so I saw this, and I mentioned this at the outset. The Spurs fan who rushed the floor for a selfie with Victor Wembanyama. So, done attending NBA games anywhere forever. And evidently, San Antonio and the sheriff's department arrested the juvenile, which his name's not going to be released because he's a juvenile. 2 charges in connection with the ridiculous stunt last night at the Frost Bank Center. Quote, he intentionally breached court security. Have you seen a picture? He's rocking braces. How old is this dude? Like 14, 15, something like that?
He looked to be about that age, yeah.
Telling you. Ass whippings. They can cure. Officials say the first charge, disrupting meeting or procession, was committed by, quote, intentionally disrupting a lawful gathering, namely the Spurs basketball game, through physical interference. The second charge, criminal trespass, was committed by entering property, specifically the basketball court, without the effective consent of the owner, despite having noticed that entry onto the court was prohibited. Ass whippings. Again, the fan's identity not released due to his age. See, here's the problem. There's so much more notoriety and love being given here than grief. So it's not going to do anything. On top of the legal issues, the dude didn't even get a good selfie thanks to Wembanyama being a giant, but the broadcast certainly captured the moment. This is the point of view of the fan. I'm going to run that. Yeah, that's not even very good. But the notoriety is there, so all's going to be good, right? Ass whippings. Never, ever forget that. We do have time on the other side. I believe Fulton is locked and loaded in what he believes. A short conversation with Fulton, I think, coming up on the other side. Little anything goes coming up next, too. We're going to get you set for the Fever and the Dream coming up later on tonight. If you're going to watch it, the Prime Video. If you're going to listen, it's right here with John Nolan and Mick Tidrow also have you. Going to get you set up for it. Yeah, the big-ass stadium tour. Post Malone and Jelly Roll. JMV, you got to keep this in mind. Tequila sucks. Okay. JMV, most of us have a spirit to stay away from, and I believe this to be true. Yours is tequila. James, anything brown. Mine, rum. The Bee Gees understood whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive, staying alive. It was well done, Jim McCann in Southern California. JMV, I was a Broncos fan for 4 years. Because you're a Manning fan. Makes perfectly good sense. All right, James, we got anything goes on the other side? About 8 minutes? Is that what you're saying? We're going to leave with Fulton coming up next. Anything goes, 8 minutes, and we'll get you set for the Fever and the pregame show coming up at the bottom of the hour. Thank you all for joining us on what is a glorious Thursday here in Central Indiana. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, and some Anything Goes, about 8 minutes worth coming up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Joey, have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, this sounds like some Anything Goes. You guys queued up and ready? Like Florida Georgia Line. Back in studio again tomorrow. Reaction of the Dream of the Fever for sure. Get you set for a sports weekend. Game number 2 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight with the Golden Knights of Vegas up a game in that best of 7 back in Raleigh, North Carolina tonight at 8 o'clock. Game 2 of the NBA Finals with the Knicks up on the road. A game 1-zip best of 7 back in San Antonio tomorrow night. For game number 2, as I mentioned, the Fever and the Dream right here with John Nolan and Tidrow. Later on tonight, bottom of the hour, in fact, Prime Video with Michael Grady on the call. Dream and Fever for you this evening. And a glorious weekend to be had by all. Can you imagine what we're going to do on the JMV Takeover on Saturday night? How many of you are crossover listeners with the JMV Takeover in this show? The one thing I've always stressed is that those that love sports also love music. And the two go together like peanut butter and chocolate. Just that easy. I know it sounds like a Reese's Cup commercial. But they go together, and that's always been evident. And now, to me, never more evident than before since I started this JMV takeover thing. And I get a lot of you crossing over to that every Saturday night. And I think vice versa, which is cool as hell. I've also discovered this, that we just keep it wide open. I'll give you a great example, James. This weekend, evidently, they're having an A to Z weekend on B105.7.
A to Z.
Yeah, it means like, okay, you start in the aha,
and you just work
then
your way
all
on
down the line.
Gotcha.
Yeah, A to Z. So we basically have an A to Z every night, so we just play what the hell ever. Whatever we want. 6 until midnight. The All Request Saturday night on B105.7. But let me know if you're a crossover fan. If you listen to this show and then you go there, or listen there and then come to this show. I appreciate that more than you ever will know. Fulton on Anything Goes at 239-1070. Hello, Fulton.
Hello, John. How are you this evening?
I have several shout-outs that you have something very important to tell us. Is this true?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
All right. Go ahead.
Pat Sullivan is coming to the Annie the Musical tonight.
He is.
It's opening night tonight, and then I was on the Terre Haute News.
You were on the Terre Haute News. What station were you on in Terre Haute, Fulton?
It was on the website, News 10.
Channel 10. That's WTHI, Channel 10 in Terre Haute. It's been there forever. I know of it well. I think both the CBS and maybe even the Fox affiliate over there. So you're on their website, correct?
Yep, I was. Yep, they just posted it on there.
That is well done. I'm going to send people to see Fulton on the website at WTHI Channel 10. Well done out of you, buddy.
Yep. And I know you know one of these big fans. John, remember JMV?
Yes.
Hi, JMV. I'm a big fan of yours. Listen to you quite often. Fulton and I are going to be opening the Annie the Musical with Attic Theater tonight, and he wanted to give you a shout-out to get that out there.
Hey, tell everybody, since you're talking to us right now, if they want to slide by and watch that, it starts later on tonight, how they can do that.
It starts later on tonight. We're Annie the Musical, put on by Attic Theater, and it's located at White River Christian Church in Noblesville. The show tonight's at 7. There's another show tomorrow night at 7, and then a 2 o'clock matinee and a 7 o'clock show on Saturday. It's an amazing cast, family-friendly show, and it's a blast. I actually play the role of Oliver Warbucks.
Well, that is awesome. And then Fulton's going to be a part of it. I'm telling you. That is Tony award-winning material right there, brother. Let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, you guys have a great run of it this weekend. Thanks for hanging out with our buddy. And what do they say? I guess they say break a leg, don't they? They still say that?
Leg. Yes, sir.
Break a leg, you guys.
Hey, thanks a lot. Keep it on.
You got it, fellas. And Fulton has got Pat Sullivan with him tonight. Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Pat Sullivan is with him. And then he's at WTHI. I know Channel 10 very well. Actually, when I was at Indiana State, they asked me to intern there, and I chose to throw parties instead, which probably was not smart.
How am I not surprised?
Yeah, I chose to throw parties. I said, you know what? I can't do this. This is cramping my style. I also had I had a job at Sears in the automotive department answering the phones, and we had a big party, and they were making me work until 10, so I quit. That's terrible. See, I'm all grown up now. I told you that.
That definitely tracks. Though.
I was in the automotive department answering the phone. So nobody got their Dienhart batteries on that night because I was done. No more answering the phone.
But how was the party, though?
Oh, man.
Good
one.
one.
Listen, Ethan Crawford, everybody will tell you, Ethan Crawford, that is why our parties were 1,000 times better than any of the nerds and fraternities there.
Oh, you weren't in a frat?
No, of course not. They asked me to go, but I said, my parties are too good. I don't need to be going throwing my weight around in your nerd parties. Bad enough I had to DJ the Pike party over there. It was the biggest disaster ever. It was all dudes.
Oh,
a big Boy Scout meeting. I think, what do you guys, do I get to earn my merit badge if I come here tonight or what? What are we doing?
But your DJing was good. It was just the
crowd.
crowd.
Yeah, but it was
wasn't
just a bunch
great.
of dudes. And they said, "What are you bringing me to this party, Pikes, with a bunch of dudes?"
Well, maybe they were hoping you would bring the chicks.
Well, I would have if they would have asked me. I think it was actually a Sunday night, too, which is even weird. But no, great time over there, too. And a shout-out, WTHI Channel 10. Turn down the internship once upon a time. A true story right there. JMV, I agree with you on tequila. Just the scent, the smell gets me. And it does. It does. Good stuff, but it still really does get you. For real. JMV, what happens tonight if the Fever lose to the Dream? Well, I guess it depends on how it goes down, but I would suggest, because we saw earlier this week, we saw a star player and head coach, they developed that unified front that everybody's going to start believing this to be all talk and not a lot of do. Seriously, this is a good springboard. You're 4-4 through 8. You're disappointing, and you get a good team in your place. I don't know how much the whole Reese Clark scenario plays a role anymore, if it even does, but that dynamic is still at work. A good team in a situation where I know that it's a long season, but let's get on track. And again, it's never, to me, really been, even with a 1-of-7 Caitlin Clark game going back to Saturday in Portland, it's never really been about the offense. It is solely, to me, about the defense. And the defense, as they will always tell you, is about the effort on the defensive end. So that is what you should look for coming up later on tonight. The effort. Again, John Nolan and Tidrow in here. I think Eddie Garrison is also standing by for you. But the recap coming up tomorrow. Prime Video, if you're looking for it on TV this evening, too, with Michael O'Grady. Stanley Cup Final, Golden Knights and Hurricanes at 8 o'clock. Vegas up a game, best of 7. Get you set for game 2. Hey, I just noticed this. Was Jake talking about that kite that's stuck over there on 10th Street on that?
Yes, I believe he was, yeah.
There is a kite stuck over there. I just saw that too. Huh. Weird. Things you see near downtown. Hey, great job out of everybody today, James. Great job out of you. Mike Chappell, thank you very much. John Nolan, Tom Dienhart, a lot of really good topics hit. Back in studio to close out a week with you coming up tomorrow at 3. Have a great night. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.